Hi everyone, I'm Eleanor. I'm a pre-sales engineer at Genie Mobile, the company behind Geniemotion, an Android emulator. I talk daily to many people with different needs for mobile automation testing.
Hi, I'm Thomas. I'm the QA manager at Genie Mobile. I'm in charge of improving test strategy in all our products. I'm also in charge to writing integration with several CI tools and our products.
Today in our talk, you will learn how to scale your tests for React Native applications and why you would choose Detox as the testing framework for your mobile testing strategy. We will first start by giving some context on why it is important to have a good testing strategy. Then we will focus on Detox with core fundamentals and its advantages. And then you will learn how to scale your tests with Detox to reduce your testing time. And finally, you will be able to see all this in action with a demo. So let's start with a bit of context on why having a good testing strategy is important. We hear a lot about adopting a shiftless strategy for testing, where we conduct tests early to minimize the cutoff of bugs. New versions of an application are often released, and we all know that an application failing to respond has a direct business impact. If you are a QA engineer, you must already have a key role in the application quality and need to define the testing strategy by choosing the right tools. Tests need to be automated, leaving manual testing for exploratory tests. And having a good strategy is the key. You need to choose the most suited testing framework, the tools around automation, and also how those tests are being run. Today, we will focus on choosing the most suited testing frameworks for React Native applications and how to scale those tests. The demo at the end will illustrate an example of a good strategy. We will first share some core fundamental concepts on Detox and why it's mainly used for testing React Native apps. But you will see that there are some cases where people will choose another testing framework like Appium, and it depends on many factors. I will first let Thomas talk about Detox.
Thanks, Eleanor. So let's talk about Detox and what is Detox. Detox is an end-to-end framework for mobile application developed by Bitrise. With Detox, you are able to write cross-platform tests using JavaScript. Currently, it supports iOS and Android. You can test native, hybrid, and React Native application. It has been built around the concept of gray box testing. It means you will interact with your application just like a real user. And Detox will be able to fight against flakiness at the lowest possible level inside the application by monitoring and orchestrating the device and the application from the inside. Detox provides a set of APIs to use with any test runner. Per default, Wix recommends Jest as a test runner. Let's talk a bit more about Detox architecture. Detox includes the following components. A tester is the testing component running in a Node.js process on the host computer, executing the test logic using a test runner. It includes a Detox client. It's the component integrated into the tested app on the tested device. It synchronizes the application, matches user queries, executes user commands, for example, taps, scroll, click, and validates expectations. It also includes a Detox server. It's a WebSocket server running in a Node.js process on the host computer, used to connect between the tester and the client. We have talked about Detox, but as Eleanor said earlier, with our customer experience, we know a lot of mobile testers also use Appium. So I will let Eleanor explain why you should choose Detox over Appium.
Thank you, Thomas. So there are many reasons why some users will choose Detox over Appium, and this depends on how these frameworks are designed. So regarding the language, we know that React Native applications are written in JavaScript, and if you want to ask developers to contribute to the test, it will be easier for them if they can use the same language as they use for writing the code of the application. You can see on the chart that JavaScript can both be used for Detox and Appium, but we see that Detox is likely to be chosen because if some developers need guidance to use JavaScript for Appium, it can be more difficult for them as there seems to be a broader community who uses Java to write Appium tests. Detox and Appium have two different approaches for testing. Detox is a gray box one, as explained earlier by Thomas. It can monitor the state of the application from the inside, which is a big difference compared to Appium, which is a black box testing framework and doesn't know anything about the application from the inside. So we see that tests tends to be less flaky with Detox. And if you want developers to contribute to the test and ask them to add test IDs, it is easier for them to contribute if the tests are located in the same repository as the project. So it is also another advantage to use Detox for that. But there are some cases where you might not use Detox for your company's QA strategy, and it can depend on many factors. There are two main questions you need to answer before choosing the framework for your React Native testing. Who are the people in charge of writing the tests, maintaining them, and being the owner? And are you doing a short or long-term investment on automation? For example, if you want the developers to contribute to the tests, as you saw earlier, Detox would likely be chosen to make their life easier. It can also be seen as a more long-term investment, as the knowledge of the tests are being spread across many people in the team, so if someone leaves, other people can still contribute to the test. From our experience, we also see that Appium would likely be chosen to have something set up quickly by hiring an automation engineer who doesn't need to have access to the source code. There are, of course, many other cases that we can't cover here, but if you have different opinion for some of these statements, yeah, don't hesitate to share your thoughts offline with us. It is always interesting to have insights coming from the testing community.
Thanks, Elinor. So now let's talk about how to parallelize test to better test at scale. So why you should run tests at scale? To improve test build time and get the result as soon as possible. It will allow you to test your application with the same or different Android version. I think all you know that functional tests can take a long time, depending the number of tests you have, the number of Android version you want to test. It can be annoying to wait for the results. That's why we encourage testers and developers to scale their tests. Now I will explain you how you can reduce your test execution time using test sharding method. The purpose of doing test sharding is to spread tests across devices and ease the testing workload so that you can execute automated tests faster. Imagine that you have 100 tests taking 10 minutes in total to complete on a single device. Now, what if we divide these 100 tests to get them run on 5 devices? 20 tests for each device. It will take 2 minutes rather than 10 minutes to finish a test session and get the test report. This method can be useful when development is still in progress and you want to catch bugs earlier, for example when you push a pull request or a commit. You don't need to run those tests on each Android version as you want to be sure they are working. Their sharding is really easy to set up with Detox and Gesture. You only need to provide a number of threads on the command line. Here, one thread is equal to one device. So we hope that you all now have a good overview on the tools and advantages on running your React Native test with Detox.
Thank you, Thomas. Now it is time for a demo. Thomas will later scale tests on his React Native application with Detox, and will use Bitrise as a CI to trigger those tests, and we'll run them on Android emulators with Genymotion SAS as an example. Just before going with the demo, let's have a quick introduction on those two tools. We will use Bitrise as a cloud CI server. It is a dedicated mobile cloud CI. It has a user-friendly interface to create job workflows. And if you don't want to create job workflows from the user interface, you can, of course, configure them from a YAML file. For the device that we'll use to run our tests, we will use Genymotion SAS as cloud-based Android emulators. As those devices are the cloud, it can be easily scaled up and down to achieve better scalability and reduce your testing time. You can interact with the device manually from a web browser for exploratory testing, or automatically when a CI job is triggered and automatic tests need to run on it. As you can connect Genymotion Cloud devices directly with an ADB connection, the integration is quite seamless. And thanks to this, Wix team did an amazing job integrating Genymotion SAS directly into the Detox framework. The device can automatically be started and stopped by the framework. And Thomas will talk more about it during the demonstration. I will now let Thomas go with the demo.
Thanks, Selena. So I will just unshare my screen now. So I have for the mobile DevOps Summit, I created a workflow on Bitrise to run Detox tests using a React Native application. The build application and the test take few minutes. So I won't go into details on how to configure and run tests using Detox, but I will give you some basic concepts on how to quickly configure your test for Detox. So I will just start the build, and we'll go back on it later. A workflow for my application where I have some steps, Bitrise steps, with npm in order to install some npm dependencies. We have a command in order to build the application, steps to install GMSAS CLI, another one to run Detox tests. When you want to configure your test for Detox, you need to go to a Detox config file. Here is called detox.config.js. Inside, you need to configure a Genymotion device. So we have a JSON object called devices. Here we have some type of devices. We have iOS.simulator, Android.emulator, but thanks to Wix and the latest version of Detox, we now have a new type called Android.genycloud, and this type of device can be configured using a recipe UID or a name, and when you configure it, Detox will automatically search on Genymotion SaaS platform with the UID or with the name to start this device. After that, you need to set up a configuration. Here we have our configuration, android.jennycloud.release. We need to attach the device where you want to run test. So here I just call genymotion.emulator.uid. So it will refer to this device object. We also need to attach the application we want to test. And here the configuration is we want to build the release variant of our application. Once Detox is configured, you can go to the package.json file and you can add some scripts. For example, to build the application, it will call Detox command line in order to build with the defined configuration. We also have a test script. It will also call Detox command line with the test argument and some parameters like the configuration. And the more important is the max worker. As we said earlier, the worker corresponds to the number of the device we want to test. So here for the demo, I set up the application to use 4 worker. It means that Detox will start automatically 4 devices. So now if I go back to Bitrise, I will go to here. We can see we have 4 devices. And normally we should see the test running on it. I have 4 test files for Detox. So as I have 4 devices, each test file will be dispatched on one device. So here we can see we have some tests on each devices. And when the test campaign is over, Detox will automatically stop the devices. And if I go back to Bitrise, the step is OK, and the build is happy. So that's all for the demo.
Thank you for attending our talk. We hope that you now have a better idea on how to scale your end-to-end React Native testing with Detox. If you have any question, please reach out to us. You have our emails here. If you are also interested in testing Genymotion SaaS with Detox, you can also refer to the official documentation and the tutorial that you can see on the on-demand session. Everything is now there, and so happy testing, and don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you.